Alright, I've been working on my CZ Scorpion. I had an issue with the trigger not resetting, and I saw a lot of videos how they're talking about pretty much the spring that kind of keeps hopping over, preventing it from resetting. Now I disassembled it, put it back, fixed it, made sure it was installed properly, which it was originally, but it kept happening and that was annoying. I went to the range, checked this out for the first time after doing a couple of small upgrades on it, and it continued to mess up. And it wouldn't reset the trigger, and it was just annoying. Then I had to like take out the mag, charge it again, manipulate it, and after about 10 rounds I stopped. It just was too aggravating. Got home, disassembled it, put it all back together. Again, took about maybe 4 trigger pulls, just kind of holding the hammer back, squeeze the trigger, checking to see if it reset. And after just a few, it would happen again. So what I ended up doing, since everyone's issues seem to be unrelated to mine, everybody was like filing one part or modifying another, and I'm like, that's not really doing anything. What kept happening is the trigger right here, not the trigger, the spring. Here's the spring where I'm pointing at. I'm not sure if you can see it too well because I do have it installed. Short side is down, long side goes up under this little arm right here, this little black part. So it goes under there, it stays secure. After a few trigger pulls, it messes up. Again, got annoying. So what I ended up doing is getting a little washer that I had, which is right there, that little black washer. Just slightly larger than the pin, that way it doesn't really rub against it. Now the one I had was just a little bit too large, so I couldn't put the pin through because the bottom part of the washer was pressing against the receiver part of the gun. So what I did is on one side I just flattened out with Dremel, and then with a file one side of that washer, just enough so it could allow the pin to pass through with no friction. Now what it does is this little spring right here kept moving back and forth, and when it would move, it would come out from under right here. It would pop out, then it would be kind of loose here, or it'd get behind the hammer, causing it to not only just not reset the trigger, but sometimes when I charged the handle back, the bolt wouldn't go. Had to kind of do it once or twice, and I guess with it moving back and forth, it kind of knocked the spring back out of the way, and then we'd do it again as far as, you know, shoot around, only to get stuck again. Again, everybody just kept telling me, oh, it's got to go under here. Like, I know how it's supposed to go. That's how I had it. There's just too much play in between the parts. Not sure if it's an issue of just like tolerance stacking between the different parts, that in the end it was just overall a kind of loose fit, and the vibrations, the trigger moving, the hammer going back and forth, caused it to just kind of bump out of place. But with this right here, it doesn't move. It's not pressing against the spring to the extent that it's having an issue. The trigger pull feels the same, everything feels the same. If it was, let's just say I got that washer and it was just too thick, I would have just shaved it down. But right now I think it's like perfect. It's just pressing against it right here, just snugging it against the side, against the wall. So what it's not doing, it's not popping up all over the place, causing it to just kind of jump out. And that so far has resolved my issue. Now I do need to actually live fire this. So far all I've been doing is just dry firing it, holding the hammer. The one I'm just banging the crap out of it. But I think that's going to resolve it right there. And again, it's just a matter of placing a small washer in between the spring right here. That little black piece is nothing more than just a small washer I had to put there to secure this spring in its place, which prevents it from moving over, popping out from under this arm right here. Saw a lot of people trying to explain this. One, I don't know why they didn't get a flashlight, couldn't see anything they were pointing at, or something small to point at, kind of like this. I can just point at right there, the washer. But there you go, that's what I did. So far, again, no issues. I will take it, shoot it, see how it goes. Hopefully everything goes fine, because I do ultimately want to enjoy my gun. Unfortunately, since I purchased this gun, I've had it, took it to the range one time. I was just waiting to update the parts before I took it out. but I've only had a few rounds through it because, again, the trigger was an issue. I thought I did something wrong when it came to the installation, so here I was just kind of not getting upset, trying to be patient with it, going back and forth in my head, just like, it's probably me, I probably just whatever, no big deal. Didn't want to blame like the design or the gun or anything like that, because again, I'm new to it. I heard it's reliable, it's a great suppressor host, which is why I bought it. But yeah, that's ultimately what I ended up doing, and so far it seems to be consistent. Again, all I'm doing is dry firing, and I've done it at least 100 times, not a single issue. So I'm hopeful I'll feel better once I get live ammo going through it, and I'll give a quick update and check to see if that actually resolved everything. I'm hoping that it will, and I'm pretty confident that that will resolve the issue. Now, there was a small shim that came with this, but the shim didn't say anything about placing it back here where the spring is to secure anything. It was more to put it right here along the arm. I did have it installed. Not sure what happened to it. I disassembled it, started kind of looking things over, making sure nothing was broken. Don't know what happened to it, but ultimately I don't think I need it. It was so thin, it was almost like paper thin, so I'm not really sure what good it originally did anyway. I don't know if it just made people feel better, or if it's maybe for the first iteration of these guns, but it really did nothing for mine. Anyway, that's enough talking. Hope to have this help somebody out there who was having the same issue. Again, just a small little washer is the best thing. Again, if you have one that's a little too large, just file down one side. If anything, it helps because it's no longer round, and that flat part is going to press down on the receiver portion of it, kind of locking it in place because it won't be able to rotate. You just don't want too much tension on that spring for the lighter trigger pull. So you would want to be pressing against that, just making the spring be tighter and then giving you back that heavier trigger pull. It kind of negates the reason for getting it. All right, that's it for now.